Oh man, what's up, guys? Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. This is where the magic happens, I guess.
What's up? It's March, Troy, 1/4 of the Wholesome House podcast. Here with...
I'll say my name. My name is Amadeus Roy, painter, sculptor, festival director. Yeah, thank you for having me.
We just here to chop it up, you know what I'm saying? We're in his workshop right now, which is pretty cool. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Hold on, is that what you call it? Or is this
Right.
like
Studio workshop.
sanctum or like
No, it doesn't have
Layer,
a cool,
maybe?
no, there's no
Right.
cool name. Nah, I mean the workshop I guess would be the front porch. That's where I cut all the wood and stuff. But
Okay.
This is the studio. Yeah, it's the dungeon ass room. Just it was a spare room in the house when we moved in, and originally me and my girlfriend split it. She would be over there, I'd be over here, but now we have more space available, so I can actually spread out a little bit. Things are a little bit more organized.
Nice.
It's always chaotic, no matter what, though. This is the cleanest it's ever been.
But I guess, speaking of beginnings, this is what, the second year
Yes.
of the festival? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how it began.
It all began because I wanted to paint a mural. So last year, murals were a goal of mine to paint. I thought back to where I could do that without having too many connections myself, being a beginning artist and all. And so I thought back to home, which is Harper Woods, where we didn't grow up with any public art. There wasn't statues, murals, or anything like that in the area. It was just houses and a school. So I thought that would be a really good place to do one, just to kind of start that momentum and have art around, because I think it's a very beneficial thing. So my mom works up at City Hall, and so she got me the right in to talk to the right people.
Okay.
Proposed the idea to them, told them, you don't even have to pay me, just say yes, I will do everything else. Like, I just really want to do it.
Right.
They were down. We went through the meetings of proposing ideas and stuff like that. And then as the ball started rolling, the city got it more exciting. Like, we need to make it a bigger spectacle than just like painting a mural. So they tasked me with getting some artist friends together. We had 15 artist vendors last year. My homie Spring Forever DJ'd, had some food trucks, had like 500 people come out. And it was cool.
Yeah,
It was
like that.
greater than I could have imagined, for sure. And then during the event, during the commemorations, the mayor was like, welcome to the first annual blah, 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 blah. And I was like, annual?
Hey, right, okay.
So I got welcome back. Then this year, the main focus was to introduce live music. Because outside of me, in like the homie circle, all my friends do music. And so the goal was to then create an opportunity for myself to then spread out to an opportunity to everyone.
Got you.
So now we're looking at 7 hours of live music and just making the whole thing way bigger.
Nice. And do you have a number that you are expecting this year? You said last year was 500.
The goal would be to double it.
Right.
So 8 to 1,000 would be.
double it.
Just growth. Anybody that shows up, I'll be thankful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I guess I'm wondering, do you have any, or of the lineup that's going on this weekend, do you have any that are returning from last year?
So Spring Forever, who was our DJ last year, he would be technically the only performing artist to say that this is his second year.
Okay.
So he'll be DJing and rapping along with his homies, Griffey Oro, Fat Ron the Dank God, and G13 in their shared set. So he will be the only like returning member, I guess, of the crew. Just because we didn't have like actual live music last year other than him DJing.
Got you.
So everybody will be newcomers to the park, but to a lot of them it's a very familiar place because they all grew up in the area and stuff.
Nice. And I'm trying to think of another one here.
What I'm curious about is let's take it a couple steps back even further, man. Before you got all huge and throwing your own festivals and
Right.
stuff, like how did you even get into this form of art in the first place? This is for those that I won't speak on it. I'll let you speak on what you would identify your art to be in terms of the particular medium, and again, kind of just how you found your way into this style.
Yeah. So I identify as an abstract constructionist, painter / sculptor. That's like the art terms. Wow. Basically what that means is I cut plywood and I paint it. That's like the elevated version and the ground level version.
Fire.
So thank you. Growing up, my dad was a construction worker. That was like my first job for like childhood and stuff, was just doing whatever he would do. And so that kind of gave me the remedial knowledge of using tools and working with wood and all that stuff. It's always been a natural comfort zone for me. Pairing that with, I hate the texture of canvas. It's a very like menial thing to me that like normal people don't care about, but the texture pisses me off because you can't get like super clean lines when painting. Okay. And with wood, it's the smoothest surface, like really. So the first idea I had back in college, I was just looking at a wall in my plant bio class, had this idea pop into my head. I was like, I want to paint the outline of Kid Goku on a Nimbus.
Ooh, tough.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I had no idea what was going to go on it. I just knew I wanted to paint that shape. And so I marinated on it for like a year. Finally, when I moved back home to where all the tools were, I figured it out. That was the first piece. And then it was never really like distinct thought processes that led to each evolution. It was just, I would have another idea that required new challenges to be figured out, and then I would execute it, and that's how I would learn as I went. Is just kind of, this idea is harder than the last one, both literally and figuratively, because they always get better, but they always just lended to new challenges. And so it was kind of like a natural learning curve to get to where we are now with layers and complexity and all these things.
Wow.
Where do you draw, the majority of your inspiration from? Because you have different artists that, of course, if they are on canvas, it could just be like, I like to paint trees and I like to paint this and that. Whereas, given that this is a slightly different medium and that you also directly identified it as more of an abstract style, where do you pull that from? Is that your life, the world?
Yeah, I mean, those for sure. It's a very meditative process for me. Pretty much just whatever is going on up here, both like personally and extra personally. I'm a very critical thinking person, I guess. Like I just kind of toil with concepts all the time of like life and how I'm living life, how humans are living life. And so whatever theme is kind of going on at that time is usually what ends up being in the shapes of the piece. It's a very indirect expression of it because obviously I'm not like directly painting the world on fire because of global warming or something, but it's more so the flow of it, the like if there's like a aggressive shape and that can speak to a more angry mood or something. But I pull a lot of like my shape inspiration from nature. They're very organic shapes, so it could be I've spent like a summer just like looking at clouds and trying to like pull like the movement of them through the sky. The one behind you was literally the snow melting on a bush, kind of like lended to that shape, and then I adjusted it and stuff to make it more flowy. So yeah, the shapes can kind of come from anywhere. It can start as one shape and then I build off of it. It can start as like a very clear idea and then I like clean it up on paper. Yeah, pretty much the shapes and the colors are the two languages I speak through most. The color is really where you can kind of convey a certain aura or emotion. But all in all, I try to have it be a very positive experience with like the viewers. I don't want you to feel bad looking at my stuff. I want you to be able to smile and like enjoy your time.
Wow. I'm sorry. I'm really captivated by
thank you.
Just the process of it all too. No, really, because, my medium is not any way complex as I would say yours is.
I disagree.
Really? Well, you also did say you didn't.
I would say music is complex as hell, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, this is something that is a bit more tangible, Like you were saying how the mural kind of started it all, and that's going to be there for kind of like forever.
Yeah.
You hope your music stays for a while, but, in this day and age, you'll listen to it and be done.
But it's still there. I mean, the mural, nobody could see it for weeks if nobody goes to the park, but it's still there.
True. True.
What do you foresee, or I guess what is your ultimate mission when it comes to your art? In what ways does it provide you with fulfillment? What are the responses that you're hoping to create, so on and so forth?
Personal goals. I always say that, like, people ask, like, do you have to, like, motivate yourself to work on pieces or anything like that? And for me, it's the same as breathing at this point. Like, if I'm not creating, it's when I'm in, like, my worst days.
Yeah.
Like, it's just terrible if I'm not doing this. So the main goal is just to be able to keep doing it. That way I can be happy with myself. It brings me peace, hopefully through like success and the capitalistic things. I can then live off of it eventually and, live a more open life of traveling and cool experiences. But outside of myself, with like the public that sees the pieces, like I said, I just like it to be positively affirming. I aim for each piece to kind of just be an uplifting experience, like I said, and just there's no grand concept that I'm really trying to get at. It's just kind of a positive momentum of everybody trying to work on themselves and work on our relations to each other so we can all like live better lives. Because I think there's a lot of progress that needs to happen just as humans. And so if this can motivate you to try and work on something, then, you know, that was successful.
Right. And since you mentioned progression, are any of your pieces like a part of a series or anything where you build off of an idea maybe and keep it going?
I've had a couple attempts, not any of them being super successful and like getting past the second stage. I had like a series where there was one titled The Mind, where it was like my brain visualized in like a very neutral state, and then I made another one titled Holding It Together, where that was literally how I felt for a while, and so it was more jagged and disruptive. And then I just didn't figure out any more versions of that, so I kind of fell asleep for a while. I did...
I mean, 2 still count, though.
Yeah, it's technically a series. There's one that I only have one of right now that'll be a raffle piece at the festival that I definitely want to do more of. Ooh. So that will, in the future, be a series.
Oh, okay.
And then I just finished a series of 20, which it's like a contained series where I'm not going to make more of them, but it's kind of like making prints where it's like, oh, I've made 50 of this print. So I made 20 small pieces of different colorways to do at the festival as well.
Man, I'm hyped. That's going to be dope. And, okay, my other question was, do you have a favorite that you've made this year so far, by chance?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. It's the piece that I'm going to be raffling off at the festival. It kind of combines everything I've learned so far. So it's... Can you send us a picture of that? Yeah, I mean, I can also show you. It's upstairs. When we go upstairs.
What? All right. See, listen, we got some in store for you. That's why I got to slide to this festival for real.
Yeah, the creative direction is strong.
Oh,
I'll say that.
Ah, nice. Okay.
I want to capitalize on the fact that we are physically here. So, you mind maybe giving us a quick tour of just like some of the, you know, things that you utilize in terms of your, because you know, like all I know is paint on a canvas or maybe some crayons or something. Right. So, you know, what are the particular tools that you tend to use in here, and kind of what does that literal process look like? All right, continue. All
right, so very messy tool shelf. This pretty much is a roundabout of everything I use across the different steps. So we have nail gun, jigsaw, sanders, drills. That's for the whole first half of like any piece is more a construction project where it's just getting all the wood pieces together and cutting them out. So I'll use plywood for everything. This is one that I use for overspray so I don't paint the basement with spray paint, and I can get my security deposit back eventually. So yeah, construction tools. That then goes to like, this is a sealer to make sure your paint doesn't soak in, and because if you don't seal the wood, then the vibrancy of the colors will go away after like a day because it'll just absorb into the wood. Then there's texture pastes, which is all these guys. That's how I get all the little textural interests on top. Is you apply that, it's kind of like Play-Doh, and then you can paint over it. So that leaves room for a lot of different expressions and ways to apply that. A whole bunch of paints. My airbrush that I just got, it's all packed away, but I just got that last week, so that's kind of like a level up for me, where it just leaves room for a lot of other very cool things. Makes life a lot easier. My brushes. I mix all my own paints, and so I can never have enough jars, because even if I'm doing a pink in this piece and a pink in that piece, they're not the same pinks, because they don't just mesh the same way. So I can never have enough of these. I actually never do have enough of these. I'm always trying to empty one to free it up for another. So yeah, these are definitely my children. The colors are the most important thing to me. So I like having my collection safe. I dropped one time and it was full, and I was so sad. So yeah, that's pretty much everything, like tool wise, other than like the projector. I use that to project all the shapes onto the plywood, so I don't have to try and freehand everything, because some shapes get pretty complex and I don't want to leave room for error, because the edge of this one needs to line up perfectly with the edge of this one, so it makes it a lot easier if it's all specific. So I'll use that to do that part. And then yeah, it's kind of just an amalgamation of all those things throughout like 2-3 weeks for each piece.
Are you eligible for this raffle, or?
Yeah, of course.
That would look wonderful.
I'm saying, I might need that.
Tickets are $5 or 3 for $10. I did a raffle last year. It was a much smaller piece. that it turned out pretty cool. It kind of helped me make some of the funds back from the mural. This time it's just a way to get a full-size piece in someone's home without running their pockets, because that's a thing. But yeah, I started with abstract portraits on flat pieces of wood back in like 2020. And then I just started building layers and stuff from there. And then this summer I started learning how to use like negative space and kind of have pieces that the layers don't all like sit on top of each other like that.
Right.
It makes it look a lot lighter, makes a lot more flow in the piece. And then I also figured out how to introduce layers to the abstract portraits. I have this character that I'm going to hopefully start introducing across murals and then large scale pieces in the future. So this is like the first rendition of that character, was just essentially how Cause has, the little figurine, and that's what his character is, or how like
people can recognize him.
Yeah, Stevie Harrington has his little noodle guy, so it's like this is kind of like the character that can personify just like human experience for me. So this is the first rendition of him or I don't want to say him, there's no gender, it's a thing. Yeah, the first rendition of the character is just kind of like a portrait capturing the emotions he's going through and stuff like that. I said he again.
It's your piece of art.
Right.
You want it to be.
Yeah, because like
you view it as a more masculine piece, and it's it's yours to define.
But I'd rather it be more open-ended.
Okay.
There's a lot of people who are not masculine that I would still want it to connect with. So
Right.
I think I just say he because this one's like very, very vaguely a self-portrait of like the emotional self-portrait of like this year. And so I see myself in it, which is why I say he, but the actual existence of the character does not have a gender, I wouldn't say.
Gotcha. It's more malleable, I guess.
Yeah. It's just kind of like insert human rather than like a very specific kind of human. That way it can be more applicable to the wider array of people.
Right. And earlier you had said that the colors are very important to you.
Yeah.
Do the colors in this one mean specific things?
The background colors are kind of a combination of like some of my more preferred colors. So I use magentas and cyans a lot because I don't use the RGB color mixing scale, because if you mix like a cadmium red with like a phthalo blue, it gets a very muddled purple. But if you do a cyan and a magenta, it makes it more vibrant. It's the kind of color scheme, or it's the color wheel that like printing and graphics uses instead.
Okay.
So it's an additive color mixing technique rather than, I think it's called subtractive. I don't know. I dropped out after 2 years. So I like those colors a lot. They're very vivid. They speak to me a lot more. So these are kind of just using the colors that I like to create a nice background of just excitement and what I think is very beautiful. The colors of the figure are more muted and of a more monochromatic scale to kind of speak to what they're going through. I just kind of picked these darker like blues when I first started designing the character, just because it kind of needs like a skin color type thing I don't want it to actually look like a real human, because I don't really work in like realistic settings.
Right.
And so it still has to be surreal, still has to be abstract. And so I picked these colors because they're muted. They're not gonna contrast and try and fight with background colors that are always going to be very bright for me.
Okay.
So if you have a very bright character on a very bright background, it just kind of gets lost.
Right.
And so it's a way to introduce kind of more darkness. And also, to me, the human experience currently feels a little dark. Like we don't really have too much greatness going on right now. So if we were all to be a color to express our emotion, I wouldn't see it as a very bright one all the time. So this kind of leaves room for expressing the more negative emotions, where my pieces are usually more positive looking, and so it kind of leaves room to play a little bit in that. And then just the different hues allows for different contours and build the depth of a flat piece. So yeah,
That's tough.
that's my spiel for this one.
So what do you hope to result, or like I guess what do you hope to see at this festival? What do you want people to take away from this festival, those that do attend, and more importantly, those that may not be able to attend this one, but you should be on the lookout for the next one? Like, what are some of the things that you think this will offer?
Well, first and foremost, main goal is just for people to have fun. I mean, that's my intention with everything. I want things to be enjoyable. But the grand like scheme, there's kind of two levels to it, where macro scheme is to create creative momentum in Harper Woods. The kind of year range that we graduated from, I say we because me and my friends, nobody really is going to Harvard and becoming like a super fancy lawyer, like in the Supreme Court or anything like that. Like we're all creatives. We all grew up, trying to just make things happen. And so we're artists, musicians, like basketball players, writers, just we cover all the creative fields, chefs. But that kind of environment wasn't really what we grew up around. It's just kind of what we created. And so the goal of me and the homies, to make it easier, Maury is the term of me and the homies, the kind of the group name. Our goal is to then build that environment for the future there. So as the west side of Detroit or like Midtown, it's kind of like artsy and stuff like that. Hopefully without the gentrification aspect, we will create something similar or a similar vibe. Because there's really not too much art stuff, like art infrastructure on the east side in general. So to kind of build it up as a hub for that, where you can have gallery spaces, performance spaces, festivals, gatherings of creative individuals. That is the goal in the macro sense for the city. And then for the personnel, Mori, the homies, are performing. This is their first performance, their homecoming performance, first festival performance. It's a very big momentous occasion for them, the people that I wanted to make sure the opportunity is reached out to. So that's New Age Hero, Live from Mars, DJ Insomniac, Takage, Ozu, and then we brought along our homie Danny M as well for the set. That'll be another shared set of the day. Really just give a great, literally lay out the stage for them to, show off and do what they do best, and, kind of create creative momentum for the city, and then also create momentum as we're all budgeting artists trying to make it at the same time.
That's why. Like, why? Because we are so close to Detroit. We are so close to the west side, Midtown, and we have a bustling, region and populace of creatives. So what is it that is drawing you to build it here as opposed to just trying to catch the wave elsewhere?
I think it allows us to have a better hold on it as we upscale it in the future. So yeah, we can, just by necessity, you'll still have to play off the same steps that everybody else in the area does. You'll still have to hear or perform. You'll still have to go from the Shelter to St. Andrews to the Fillmore and all that kind of stuff. As an artist, I still have to start at the ground level galleries that are in Detroit and make it up to the larger size ones. But that's cool and that's a fun path to take. But to make it more personal and to kind of build a greater legacy, I think having that personalized experience in a more homegrown, specified experience kind of makes it for your legend to be a lot more legendary, for lack of a better term, moving forward as you kind of tell the tale when you're 40 and you've made it and you can explain this is all the things you've done. It's a lot. The drive to make an impact there is a lot stronger than Detroit because I grew up in Harper Woods. If you're in Japan or somebody, you'll claim Detroit because everyone's going to look at you crazy like, what is a Harper Woods? But my home is Harper Woods. And so the drive to make an impact there because it is your home is there. But also it's a place that's kind of asking for it, where Detroit, there is those places already. So to be able to kind of have that start and be the genesis of something is a very cool idea to us.
I'm really liking your word choice because it really is like a grand undertaking for you, more than just, or no, that's the whole point of it. I'm getting from you.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad.
No, you're good. Did you have another one? No? So we wrap? All right. Well, it's Troy, 1/4 of the Wholesome House. Ben is here too. You'll probably see him somewhere in these
Definitely
videos.
heard me, if anything.
Heard him for sure.
Y'all know my voice.
As we have said before, please show up. Check out the festival. It's going to be a grand time. Check out the piece. You feel me? You might be able to win. That I'm trying to walk home with. I'm just saying.
So you don't have to fight him.
You might. Yeah, you might. We'll see. And yeah, no, that's kind of all I got. Unless you want to throw something else in there.
Just a second. Please come out, see what we've done, see what we spent a year building towards and building past. And, just tell a friend, come out and have fun. And thank you guys for being a part of it. They're going to be emceeing the whole day, making sure things go smooth, cracking jokes and stuff. So if you're all a fan of them, which obviously you are, come see them do their thing live.
But come see these murals. And see the music and the community, all of that.
Definitely, yes.
We out here. And that's it.